LL Cool J, Fat Boys, Big Daddy Kane, like that. Public Enemy. Those were the first albums that I was buying. That's how I fell in love with hip hop.
When I got incarcerated, a lot of my stuff got lost. And part of the stuff I got lost was this music collection that I had.
Right. I cherish mine, man.
And I remember I had a bag that had mixtapes, just mixtapes alone.
Okay.
And those are the ones I missed the most, because the other, like the albums, you could always get the album.
You can get them back. That's true.
But the mixtapes,
That's true.
There's freestyles on that there's patches of it in my head.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like that's the classic stuff that I missed the most. Like that hurt out of my. So that's how you got put on to
that's what started it. That's what started it, and I literally have every single one of those.
So did you start writing afterwards?
Almost immediately.
Yeah.
The Camp Samak trip. All the students put themselves in groups and they named their group, and our group was called the Bad Boys. Now, mind you, this had nothing to do with hip hop. We're just the Bad Boy. That was the name of the group. So the first rap that I wrote, so like you said, as soon as I discovered hip hop, I tried it right away, and I wrote a little rap about the Bad Boys, and that was the first ever rap. And I was MC Rock D, right? Because Beastie Boys became like, that's the first rap I ever heard. And so my name became an amalgamation of all three artists, MCA, Ad Rock, and Mike D. So I was MC Rock D. And
you coming for the gusto.
That's how I started. And I was MC Rock D for like 2 years, and then I changed it to Danny L.
Sick. So you touched on the freestyle. I mean, the thing that you did with the Electric Circus, you won a competition. That's how you got onto that.
So fast forward 3 years, and
so you kept on writing, doing your thing.
Yeah, just writing raps and stuff, making the first recordings I ever recorded. I mean, technically speaking, as a rapper, was with my homeboy J-Tro. Shout out, because he's still my brethren. He's my barber to this day. Like, we're talking about grade 5, grade 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, like those last years of elementary school. And we became a group called Too Weird, number 2 Weird, just because we were two weird kids with weird sense of humors, and we would joke and all this stuff, and we just turned it into a rap thing. And we were kind of influenced too by like De La Soul, because De La Soul had a very eclectic, different way of doing their thing, and the Daisy Age stuff and all that stuff. So we were like, we like to be lyrical, but we like to be funny, and so we would record at home with 2 tape decks. Now this is old school. Like one tape deck, you press play, there's a beat. The other tape deck, you press play and record to record. So we're talking about no studio, no microphone. We're talking about 2 tape decks just rapping into the tape deck. And if you mess up, you go right back to the beginning, because you're not recording tracks, you're just recording your voice on the instrumental.
I have guys in prison who are sending me vocals, music that they're making in prison, and that's pretty much how they record it.
It's crazy. So every single song is literally one take. And we did 2 of those when we were 12 and 13 years old. And when I was 13, and I knew, by the way, I told you I got into hip-hop at 10 years old, falling in love with, like, the Beastie Boys album. I fell in love with music practically when I was a baby. Speaking of my mom, she used to sing to me. And she told me that, you would sing as a baby. Like, this goes back, I don't have any recollection of this. She's like, I'd hear you singing in your crib.
But you've been singing, like yeah. I'm taking in the catalog, you've been singing.
Well, that's true. That's
in the
true.
music, you've been singing.
Yeah, I've been singing.
When they talk about the hip-hop singing and whatnot, hip-hop, like you we're doing that. Socrates been doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but the influence, I mean, like I said, the history goes back. I always tell people, Thriller came out when I was 5. I knew at 5 years old what I wanted to do the rest of my life. There was no question. I was gonna be MJ until I discovered the Beastie Boys. Then I was gonna become a rapper. So
and then you evolved into who
that's
you
how it
are.
That's how it all evolved. So Electric Circus came at a time when I was rapping, about 3 years. I was taking it a little bit more seriously than my boy J-Tro, and Electric Circus was having this contest. What happened was, Electric Circus is where I discovered Maestro Fresh West. When I was 11, he performed Let Your Backbone Slide. And Stevie B, an R&B artist who was on the same show, ended up signing him to his label LMR. And it was the first instance for me seeing a rapper from Toronto sound so dope and eventually get on because of his performance on EC.
So you saw it.
I saw that happen. So 2 years later now, Electric Circus is doing a contest, and the winner gets MC Hammer tickets. I didn't enter that contest because my mind was like, I don't want MC Hammer tickets.
I know how you feel about
the
it.
winner of the contest ended up putting out like a video and stuff. So I was like, yo, like this seems like the ticket. So the next contest they had was for LL Cool J tickets. I'm like, I'm in there. So me and my boy Lindo P, we
shout out to
Lindo P. We put together a track. The track was called "Can't Test Me," which is just a bold battle rap. You can't test me. And in the vein of like Big Daddy Kane, who became my favorite rapper, I even had the high top cameo just like Big Daddy Kane. And I won that contest at 13. That's on YouTube and everything. And that's what really got me started.
That's the
game.
push. That was the push.
It got me involved in the business, started meeting people, performing, getting into studio, all that.
So as a teenager, you say you had a stable life. Home life. Music was a big thing in your life. Were you into sports?
Oh yeah, big time.
What sports did you play?
Huge. I played baseball, which I still do. Okay. In school, I also played volleyball. I was on the track team, the cross country team. Those were my main ones that I was best at.
Okay. Are you still in the gym? You still stay active?
Yeah, I stay active in the gym. I've rejoined an adult softball league 3 years ago.
Said adult.
You got
this.
Well, I did say adult. It's funny because I stopped playing. It's funny. I stopped playing at a time in and around when all this stuff was popping off, all the Electric Circus stuff. A couple of years into me having been on TV and becoming somewhat of a known rapper around the way, I stopped playing baseball. I was playing baseball as a little kid. Soccer first because my dad was a soccer man. You know, he was from Spain. Then I got into baseball when the Jays won their first AL East in '85. So it's really dating me. I'm 42 now. So I fell in love with baseball and played it. But then I fell in love with hip hop, and then, you know what I'm saying? I broke up with baseball. Now, I never stopped liking the sport or watching it.
Especially with the Jays winning the World Series back to back. That must
I mean, it was the best day of my life. I haven't felt that good.
What was bigger, the Jays winning the World Series or the Raptors?
I was just about to bring up the Raptors. It's two different feelings, and I'll tell you why. When the Jays won, I was a kid. So it was... Think about, like, when you're a kid, you take
I was
the
there,
things...
fam. I was there for that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, like, when you're a kid, you take the things different. Like, we're talking about Christmas. Like, seeing Santa Claus... Well, not as a teenager, but seeing Santa Claus as a kid, you have this belief in this fictional character who's going to give you presents. Like, you're a kid. As a teenager, the Jays win is just this greatest feeling, but I'm not out in the streets drinking. You know what I mean? I'm not... Plus, I grew up with the Jays. The Jays came into effect the same year I was born. So I spent my whole life with them, but as a kid, I don't think you grasp what really goes into a championship team. As a grown adult, having watched the Raptors since their inception, 5 years now, 24 years at the time, you literally bared witness to every single season. As a fan, saw every...
Remember, from Isaiah Thomas coming out with the leather jacket.
Absolutely.
Through the
Damon Stoudemire, the early years, of course, the Vince Carter years. I just want to say, like, for the Raps to win it's like I was on the journey longer with them. You know what I'm saying? And I can appreciate everything that goes. I understand as an adult the things that go into, like, contracts and what GM's got to do to build teams and teamwork and who needs to do what. So different feelings, two different sports as well. I personally can't say that one's better than the other because I'm such a fan of both teams that for Toronto to win a championship, it puts me on top of the world, bro.
Well, that parade was crazy.
The parade was, bro.
People getting shot and the parade
that was not cool. I was really like, man.
I was like, can we celebrate without one gunshot going off from anybody?
Bro, if we get into that topic, I don't know how I'm going to stop. I really just can't understand that life.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, as a teenager, you played sports. Who were your role models then?
As sports role models?
Well, in general.
Well, you know...
Yeah, posters on your walls. Who did you have on your walls?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. I still got them on my walls. I got the 1992 World Series Championship plaque on my wall, signed by Cito Gaston or Roberto Alomar. So those two. I was a big fan. It's funny you asked that. I was a really big fan of Tony Fernandez and Fred McGriff.
Yep.
And for all baseball or Blue Jays heads, they'll know that Tony Fernandez and Fred McGriff were the two players who got traded for Roberto Alomar and Joe Carter.
And they both came back.
No, Tony came back
Yeah.
and won the
No,
championship in
I was thinking
'93.
of somebody else.
But I've always told people, I go, you know what, they were the DeMar DeRozan. Like, DeMar DeRozan was the Tony Fernandez.
Had to sacrifice them.
They had to sacrifice top, like your guy, and look what happened. So, yeah, they were big influences for me for sure. And believe it or not, I'm also a big hockey fan, Canadian born and raised.
Come on.
And I cannot play it. I cannot even wear skates. But, like, big Wayne Gretzky guy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, big time. And I still rate him because Wayne Gretzky accomplished in hockey something that I don't think I could be wrong, but something I don't think any other athlete has done in his or her respective sport. Wayne Gretzky remains the number one all-time points leader in NHL history. And for anybody who doesn't know, your points are all of your goals and all of your assists combined. If you remove every single goal that Wayne Gretzky ever scored, which I think is up to like 890, it's almost 900, he's still the points leader. He has
assists?
He has more assists than any player in history has points. So to me, there's no discussion. So I grew up idolizing him as well, as far as my sports love went. And Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. Before it was the Raptors, it was all MJ.
Do you recall? I know you said you started writing. Do you recall that your actual first verse that you put together?
Yeah, the Bad Boys.
That was it?
When I was 10 years old, this is maybe a week after discovering that hip hop existed through the Beastie Boys, and I wrote, we are the bad boys and we ain't no toys. We walk and we talk and we never stop. We are cool. We don't like school. We go to the mall and we steal gumballs. Something like, we hate school and we skip a lot of classes. If you step to us, then we'll break your glasses. None of that was true. But that was the verse. That was the verse, man.
That was dope.
I think that was the verse. I messed it up a little, but
So-
that was my first written rap.
Moving forward, now let's just go
I
to
don't know why I
high
remember
school,
that. Yeah.
and I'm looking at your story in high school, and it's like this lyrical coalition monolith
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
was a government. When you think about it,
Wow, man.
when you think about it, you know why? Because you guys even had a vote to see who stays in the group.
Yeah, you know that. Oh, you did your research.
Like you had a vote.
Yeah, we
That's
did.
government stuff.
We did.
And you guys were ahead of your time. Like you were making the band thing on your own. Like
Yeah.
before reality TV.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, who's gonna make the band?
That was interesting how that came about, man. We went to Francis, not all of us, about half the crew went to Francis Lieberman High School, also in Scarborough, Brimley and Finch area. And I knew some of them already. My man Spidey and Charisma. Those were two. Charisma I'd gone to school with in elementary school. We had graduated from Prince of Peace, another Catholic school in Scarborough, in the Alton Towers area where I grew up. And my man Spidey went to Marguerite Bourgeois, and we knew each other from like little house parties and stuff. We went to school or to Lieberman, to high school. We're all in high school, and we met. So Grimace Love, my boy TJ Habibi, who still is my engineer, mixes and all my music, like still all in the family. That's the kind of the core of the crew. And there was a contest. So remember, I did a contest for Electric Circus. I go to high school. They